You're listening to Zoo, the Show, the Podcast.
Well, anyways, this is welcome. Hey, this is Zoo the Show. It's the podcast. Zoo the Show, the podcast.
The only podcast that we know of where we get really in depth on the political underpinnings of the show Zoo.
Yeah, from CBS from like 7 years ago.
Incredibly right wing.
I'm Joey, and
I'm William.
I'm Dallas.
And today we watched season 1, episode 9, Murmuration.
Oh, I thought it was episode 7.
No,
wow,
we're
9.
we've been trucking.
We're coming up.
Yeah.
We're coming up. We're coming back. The previous episode, which it's been a long time since we've recorded a podcast.
Yes.
But the previous episode, possibly the best episode of the series thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely.
And led into this episode with Mitch going to the Raiden Global big office which I guess is in Boston.
Yes.
We've confirmed.
In Boston.
In Boston. A lot of the show takes place in Boston. Considering how the early part of the series they were bouncing around. We've spent a lot of time in Boston recently.
Yeah, because I think that's also where the journalist lady that I hate is from.
There's a lot of...
I thought she was from New Orleans. I thought she was from Louisiana. Because he visited the grave.
Yeah,
no, they visited the grave when they went... She was from there, but that's not where she was.
Where it started at. Where she started at. Because she knows that Lincoln Park guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, we had a sort of... Not a recap. They just re-showed the end of the last episode.
And then added on to it.
Where Mitch is handing the pills... Mitch is handing the mother cell over. Mitch is getting the pills. And he looks up, and there is a man whose name we've just learned. It's Delavine. The guy who put them together, the leader of their squad.
And he's like
staring.
Oh,
oh dang. Oops. He's his sort of general vibe. Yeah. And Mitch, it's rapidly grabs the mother cell, makes a run for the door. The head of Raiden Global presses the button under his desk, which locks his door, which is a wild thing for a person to have in his position.
And it's also wild, and this is my problem with this episode from the get-go, is that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with this. Because, they have to have Mitch be able to get out.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense that he would ever get out of this building.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking that, they only own the one floor. But realistically, it looks like it's one holistic, it's one, place, and they are a super evil bad guy company.
Yeah.
But it seems like there were 3 people in the office building.
Yeah.
We saw 4. There was a guy cleaning, guy at the cameras, and the 2 big guys.
There was the UPS guy.
Yeah, a UPS dude pushing a cart.
Who Mitch hid from for some reason, on the off chance that he was like, yeah, I saw a guy.
I fight people at night.
So, and then Mitch throws a chair.
Yeah, Mitch is locked in the room, and the guy's like, haha, there's no way to get out. And Mitch sort of looks at well, you're in a whole totally glass office.
Yeah,
throws a chair, which frankly the coolest thing maybe that Mitch has ever done outside of exploding a wolf brain in
coffee pot.
In a coffee pot.
It's so hard because Mitch as a character is a real...
he's a real shithead.
He's a real shithead, but he's also the only useful guy.
Yeah.
The only person whose skills have progressed them with the disease aspect. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as survival, Abraham's helped out a lot.
Yeah.
But as far as figuring out what's going on, it's pretty much all been Mitch.
And ain't that the way that in our sort of writers, I think, make that mistake a lot of time where they're like, well, we have to give this competent character a character flaw. Let's make him a shithead. You know, kids, out there in podcast land, you don't have to be a shithead to be good at stuff.
No,
it's
you
not like
don't.
mutually exclusive.
It might help sometimes.
Well, if you don't lord it over someone, how would they know?
That's true.
I mean, it's satisfying
It
for
is.
sure.
Oh,
To be
certainly.
a shithead, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, if you are not a shithead, don't worry, you can still make it in this world. But oh, it's so sweet. Anyways, Mitch, like, he runs out of the office. They're chasing him, kinda. It's not a very good chase.
Yeah.
Like, he's really like, he's like on the ball. He jumps into the elevator, hides from the UPS man quickly, jumps into the elevator, puts his overshirt over top of the camera in the elevator, presses all the buttons so they don't know which floor he got off on. But
It worked in Elf.
it did work.
Oh my god, it did.
Um,
And then, like, it's just so ridiculous because it's, like, not a chase at all.
mhm.
Like, the guy's even like, alert security. And you don't see a single guy from security other than the guy at, like, the monitors who's this, like, Paul Blart looking dude.
Yeah, who's like, I don't know. He got in the elevator and it's
You don't know
stopping
where
on
he could be
every
going.
floor. There's no way to guess which direction he could be going, up or down.
Yeah.
Either of those could be happening. Seems weird that he would be going up, though. I don't know.
Yeah, the elevator camera's down. Like, what about all the other cameras?
It's just the elevator camera. So he like escapes. He gets down to the bottom floor, and he's like, oh no, to get out I have to go through this door that's gonna sound the alarm. But they already, like,
Yeah.
once he's out, he's in the streets of Boston, and there's no catching Mitch in the streets of Boston.
No, it just looks like any other guy.
Yeah,
It's just
He
playground.
disappears into the world.
Oh, man.
We go. I guess we go. Do we go to New York briefly? Oh yeah, I guess we do. Cause we go to New York where that CIA agent from previous episode, the old man who was on a date.
Is it CIA or FBI?
FBI? Okay. FBI agent from the previous episode who went on a date with a lady and then a horse tried to kill them, is just like finding out about the whole gang
Yeah.
and is like, I gotta chase these guys down because they killed my beautiful boy Schaefer. And he makes a joke about Chloe because she's French intelligence, and he's like, that's an oxymoron, and we're all like, whoa, weird.
Yeah, like there's a lot of hostility in this dude
Mm-hmm.
for someone who knows literally none of the facts.
He's very angry. But I'm from my understanding, he goes, this was in New York because I remember the big title thing, but he's in Boston like 2 scenes from now.
Yeah.
So I guess he just
gets
like
right over there.
immediately hops onto a plane and like gets his ass to Boston. Back in Boston, the squad is meeting up at the public park, and Mitch is coming clean about how he was taking the mother cell to get some pills for his dying daughter, and all of his friends are like, you fucking sold us out, man. And he's like, fuck you, actually. I hate you. I would sell you out in a second to save my daughter.
Yeah, I mean,
Please trust me.
and he even,
Please trust me. Yeah.
he even's like, well, would you, if it would have saved your mother, would you do it? And no one has an answer because everyone
Yeah.
knows if they were in his situation, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with his choices. However, I do think he could maybe be a little bit less of a shithead about
Yeah.
of like, I think I'm the one who's the real victim here in a way,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But at the same time, if he never would have done that, they wouldn't have found out that that Delavine was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Delvine's a bad guy. He works for Raiden.
For now, he's a bad guy.
And they are confused as to why Raiden put together a team, presumably with the target of taking down Raiden. And then they argue about it. They have a lot of stuff that they have to worry about. Chloe has a warrant out for arrest. She's been like,
Yeah.
she's no longer got the French intelligence at her back, which, you know,
They're a big help before.
They haven't really. The thing
They
is,
haven't done anything for him.
it feels like that this like turn should have happened earlier in the series.
Yeah.
Because they've had this energy for a long time of like, we're under resourced, we're fighting against like, we can't go, you know, all these things. no, thus far there has been no reason that would be the case. And now there is a reason. And now I think it's gonna, well, there'll be less moments where I'm like, why aren't they just like using their, like, why aren't they just asking the French for help? Like,
why aren't they just talking to any government
mm-hmm.
at all?
Mitch says he thinks he can find a way to find a cure, but they have to get an animal who has mutated, but not because of the mother cell. So,
and it hasn't been infected.
Yeah, which I guess like is just a thing that the implication there is that all animals are eventually going to like.
Yeah.
This is just a
It's a very pessimistic view.
But they're all very sad and like on the run, and it's it's great. And then we cut over to Henry the dog and Mitch's wife.
God, every time it shows Henry, every time I'm just like,
here it comes.
Yeah, exactly. They keep foreshadowing it.
Today is the day.
I'm wondering, at this point, because they've been doing it so long, I'm wondering if they're going to make him like the one dog who's like a good boy for all eternity.
I bet he saves her at the end.
Maybe he has some kind of immunity. Maybe he's the one they get the cure from.
A hilarious coincidence. We've gone all over the world.
There's so many coincidences.
Yeah, that's fitting for this show.
Yeah. I mean, we did talk last time about possibly Mitch's daughter's dog, Henry, becoming like a talking dog companion that follows them around. Yeah, sort of like a Scooby-Doo type character.
Would be awesome.
Let's see. Oh, she's coming home, or she's at the vet, and she's like, the doctor's like, Henry's all better after getting hit by a car previously, I think. Or something like that.
Oh, yeah, he was hit by a car. And even then, it, like, panned over to his medicine, and his medicine was reading global. So they keep, like, throwing this dog at us. And, like, I know at some point he's either got to save the world or eat that little girl's face.
Jesus. The reason for this scene at the vet is to introduce that Mitch's wife is going to be in this episode, and also that this bird in this cage is just freaking the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
A parakeet is just, and it's making a horrible noise, but a noise that, like, we're supposed to, like, know is a bad noise is not, like, a noise a bird normally makes.
Yeah.
However, once again, they expect too much of my knowledge about animals.
When birds are hurt or there's something wrong, they make much worse sounds.
Like,
much worse.
Stuff you wouldn't put on TV.
And that scene is like the only indication that you would have, because the lady's like, they started making this horrible sound. And at that point I was like, isn't that just all that birds make are horrible sounds?
Nothing but horrible noises. It's like when they show me a picture of an animal's eye and they're like, it has the defiant pupil. And I'm like, is that not what a horse's eye normally looks like? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, we cut back to the squad. Abraham's buying them like some burner phones because he's got a criminal past, and you know he's
still,
the one.
The timelines don't quite line up.
Not really sure exactly. Abraham, I think, should, like, until the end of the show, just keep revealing new, like, things about. And I was like 5-star Michelin chef for 3 years in France.
Turns out he's like 90.
Yeah. They're getting burner phones, and they're talking about they need to go on the offensive. And Jackson always has a plan. They're gonna go official, and like they're gonna try and find an animal. And he has a plan. He and Chloe are gonna like do something, but we don't know what. But we're about to find out what in the very next scene.
It's so weird, man.
It is.
The writing for this, especially coming down from the high from last episode.
Yeah. Well, I think last episode was better because there was less room for talking.
Yeah. There like less for this show, and probably for most shows. I would feel, because their exposition, no one wants to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to write. I mean, there are shows that do a lot of speaking, a lot of stuff, and it works really well. And I know it's not usually like that though.
Yeah.
That's not usually the case.
Yeah, like monologues and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
or just large discussions. You can't make it work with this.
And a great example of that is right now with the boss of Braden Global and their head of security, head of global security is Delavine.
Yeah.
The guy who
that's
put them
revealed.
together. And they're in a car together and just sort of having the most like
passive aggressive.
like,
oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Why
it's
didn't
like
you
the
tell?
most co-worker thing possible.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me about the mother cell? He's like, well, you didn't need to know about the mother cell. Why did you put together a team that is like and he's like, because you told me to do that. But it's so still like there's like
zero chemistry.
There's no. I was really hoping for a sort of like, like double act kind of energy.
Well, I mean, I think the car was way too small. They're both wearing seatbelts, which made them like get even closer together. And it looked like they were kind of holding hands.
A little bit.
And
I wish that had been the case.
The dynamic between them, it's so weird because ideally, and I think a lot of the issue is the actor that plays the head of Raiden Global. Because ideally, you would want to play it off as what it seems that Delavine's going to be is this like starts off as like, oh, he's a good guy, and then he's like all shady. But eventually he's like, oh, I got to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So you've got that energy with him. Mm-hmm. But then the other dude should be a little, like, harsher with his bad guyness. Mm. And he's just not. He's, like, a very soft character.
He's just, like, he is, like, definitely a bad guy. But it's more of, like, the energy of, like a person who's, like doing a bad thing, but they're just because they're in middle management. Like, who's, like... Oh yeah, I can't give you your hours for this week, but
or like one of Trump's kids.
Yeah, yeah, just like a real shithead, but not scary, just like
or actually evil, just like an asshole.
This guy. Anyways, they have like a real stilted argument, and it's basically revealed that the reason that the squad got put together was just like they were trying to cover their sort of. Like they were trying to cover their tracks maybe or something like that, and they just there wasn't like they didn't like weren't doing emails to each other to explain what was happening in their evil syndicate.
It's good knowing that they're probably as a company just as confused as we are as the viewers.
It turns out to be a really great metaphor for just like an incompetent and evil business being like, well, it's the way to make money, but we don't really understand what we're doing. Anyways, Delavine gets out of the car and walks up to a really nice house, and it's sort of weird because it's his house, but it's like
it's like a mansion. It looks like, I thought it might have been like a museum or something.
It was weird because it was like they finished the scene and then they just kept filming like this guy's like because he walked up to his house and it took a little while for him to he opened the door and like went in and his wife was there and he's like, hey honey.
Because it's like empty driveway, no cars on the street, just a big old house.
But then it's revealed some of his friends are over. It's Jackson, Oz, and Chloe. They've come to his house, and his wife just let them in because I bet she doesn't know.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Guaranteed.
You're like, oh, whatever. I'm bored in my house.
This was my second least favorite part about this episode, where they have this really ridiculous, like, back and forth, like, tough guy competition. Yeah. And like at one point the Delavine's like, you don't know anything about me. Like clearly they do.
Because they're in your house right now.
They see the picture of your son.
Yeah. Like they know you're an Air Force guy.
Yeah. Although before we get to them like having their little negotiation argument thing, we cut away.
Yeah.
And we go to first this reporter that Jamie's calling. This guy's like really the like hard working, hard hitting, got a heart of gold reporter. His ties loose around his neck.
He's like the Bruce Springsteen.
He's got earrings on. He's the guy, and he's taking a call from Jamie, and she's like, I'm gonna be an anonymous source for you, but we have to meet like somewhere private. Blah 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 blah.
We have
He's
to
like,
meet in the bathroom of the Arby's.
yeah. He's like da 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 da. He's like, sure, yeah, I'll meet you, whatever. I don't know if this guy was like in the first episode or something. I don't really remember him.
I don't think so.
We might have to backtrack a little
Maybe.
bit eventually, do some research, dig
Yeah.
into that.
I don't think he's gonna be that important. We'll see.
No.
I still think he might become their hacker friend.
Who
I
knows?
could believe that.
He's got the hacker guy look.
Anyways, she says goodbye to him, immediately smashes her burner phone and throws it in the garbage.
Yeah, because that's how burner phones work.
While wearing like a baseball cap and sunglasses and looking around like, huh?
Like
Huh?
big
Huh?
old Elton
Like,
John
back and
sunglasses too.
Back and
Yeah.
forth like, criminal activity? Me? No, couldn't be.
In this entirely empty, like massive alley.
If I was on that street, there would be nowhere else for me to look but at her.
Yeah.
Like,
Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Mitch and Abraham are changing the plates on a car. Well, Abraham's changing the plates on a car. Mitch is just sort of standing by supervising.
Yeah, just kind of like talking. Like
yeah.
he always does.
And it's sort of like this has been hinted at a lot. Abraham and Mitch really fucking hate each other. Like, genuinely hate each other.
Well, I think it's just like Abraham doesn't like Mitch even. Because it seems like Mitch has like tried
Yeah.
a few times to be like, hey, what's it going, buddy? How you doing?
Mitch is like, just hit me in the fucking face, Abraham. Do it. Punch me. Don't be a wuss. Punch me."
Terrible idea.
Abraham's like, I would destroy you.
It's so funny because it's not even like that interaction, though weird, is not like, it's not really like unheard of. It's not like something, it's not some like super macho thing, but it's just like very evident when Abraham's like, you don't want that.
I would break your head in half with my fist.
Like, that's not even like him being like a macho super guy.
No.
It's just him acknowledging reality.
They look up. The birds are freaking out. You know,
Then-
this show loves to show an animal freaking out, but hasn't done anything yet.
And then it also loves to follow that by someone being like, yeah, like 6 months ago, some animals did some stuff.
Remember?
Remember? No, because no one ever talked about it at any point.
I mean, they're so up to date with animal news. That
Yeah.
No one cares about it except them.
Which
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, because how?
They talk about some sort of thing where birds attacked a boat, and nobody cared. No one's cared about these hundreds of animal attacks, it seems, that are
Yeah.
happening daily. Cut back to Jackson Oz and Close. This is their big argument with the guy. It's not really. Neither of them really have like a clear, like. Delavine wants them to turn, like, just like stop, and he's like, if you don't, I'm gonna fucking destroy you. I'm the hand of God. I will take you down. And
Pretty much verbatim.
yeah, that's basically what he said. And they're like, actually, no, you should tell. Like, Jackson's trying to be a tough guy, but he's just that actor's face is just such like, it only has one face. Like, the energy he gives off is weirdly both smug and caring. Like, his eyes are really kind eyes, very smug, like fucking rest of his.
Yeah, everything. Like body movements, like tone most of the time.
It's not like threatening.
Yeah, it just seemed like no one knew what they wanted out of the interaction.
And
Yeah.
God,
Which makes sense from Delavine's perspective, because he just was blindsided by it. But they were there for a while. They should have got like a game plan going.
yeah, I might like, and this is like I hate to like now on like little like word choice things, but writing wise, this episode really like hit me with a lot of with their very own, and like
Yeah.
with like
Like, we have the mother cell itself. Like,
Yeah.
just say we have the mother cell.
no one talks like, ooh, man,
Yeah.
I hate anything that ending in itself or
Yeah.
the very thing that you thought to protect, you are the one who harmed it. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking, ew.
Like, it's good in anime.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. It
But
needs to be a real.
it's not like. It's not something people do.
Mhm.
Other than people who are assholes. And then you don't want to just watch a show with people talking like assholes.
Yeah. And then, so Jackson tries to be threatening. It's unclear what, like, we're supposed to take out of this scene, but what I took out of it was, like, no one really knows what they're doing in the show, villains or good guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's so weird because I don't know if that's poor writing or just an attempt at realism. Like, there's so many aspects of this show that could either be just terrible writing or just very insightful, like, slice of life realism.
We cut to possibly my favorite scene in this episode. They're at the bar.
Oh man, yeah.
They're talking about how someone's definitely gonna be coming to kill us pretty soon.
Yeah, that was my first least favorite.
Uh,
It's just out of nowhere, like, he's gonna make a call and to people who make people disappear.
like, well, man, and then they come up with a plan to, like, start using a map to narrow down the area where an animal would be that would be mutated but not infected. And they're, like, looking around this seedy bar, and Jackson's just like, oh, there's a map up there. There's, like, a world map in the seedy, like, downtown Boston, like, bar.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh shit, a world map. And the bartender's like, hey, no, don't, that's my map.
Yeah.
You can't just take that down off the wall. And Chloe walks over and is like, here's $100. And he's like, okay.
And then this is something I found interesting. Immediately after she gave him $100, I was like, why are you wasting money like that? You don't have any money.
Mm.
So she gets to the table, and then Jamie was like, hey, stop spending our money.
We don't have any money.
Yeah. Which, like, is so weird, because I see that as, like, an attempt to show that, like, an attempt to show that they're, like, playing off of popular tropes or whatever. But really, what it comes down to is just, like, just don't have her do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to show that you're aware of what you're doing. You just need to not do it.
Cut to the CIA man, the CIA old man, date boy, whose name I should really learn because it seems like he's going to be important to this show.
Yeah. He reminds me of Michael Keaton.
Yeah, a little. I can see that.
They should have cast Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I think he might have been busy at
Get it together, CBS.
He's talking to a guy. He's like facial recognition has found Jamie, and it shows, like, top down footage of her, like, breaking the phone and throwing it into the trash can. And he is moments later, he is digging through that trash can, finds her phone, finds out who she's been talking to by using some sort of code, which I assume is something that you can do. I don't know.
Yeah. That really should have been part of the buying the phones process. Was Abraham being like, hey,
don't throw away the phone.
Yeah, don't break and throw away the phone after literally one conversation.
Let's see here. Cut back to the bar where Jackson and Chloe have stepped out into the alleyway. Chloe's like, I feel guilty. I should have known Delvine was a bad guy. This is just like when my sister slept with my husband. This is exactly like when I was cuckolded by my sister.
Oh my god.
Couldn't trust my instincts.
And it's just like, I don't know.
There's so much potential for this show, and then they do shit like that.
It's just like, man, just like let this character, like, I don't know. It seems like we're always having to, like, watch her, like, regain her, like, confidence. Yeah, when it's like she's done, like, a lot of, like, they all should be in a, I don't know. It's a hard thing, but, like,
that shouldn't be her main conflict over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's really what defines her character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. Because she's like a special agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
She speaks multiple languages. But I bet it's the way they can have Jackson soothe her and just build a relationship that way.
To really show that, like, he's the good guy.
Even though Jackson is, I'm gonna say, like, the least interesting character at this point.
Yeah.
Interesting and useful.
Yeah, like, he's, like, even, like, characters who we actively have a lot of, like, dislike for.
Yeah.
At least, like, they, like, are interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, Jamie, I hate her. I wish she wasn't a character.
Yeah.
Or that they would have let a woman write her parts. Something. Because it just seems like just the most useless person. She set up the like, go in public thing.
Yeah.
So this is the point where she is useful. But then Jackson Oz is just someone's kid.
My dad.
Yeah.
Do you know who my dad is? Anyways, they cut back to Mitch and Abraham, who've shown up at his house. They're trying to get the medicine to his daughter. Dangerous mission, because probably the Raiden's watching his house.
Yeah.
And they show up at the house. Mitch gives a really long explanation for spare key under a rock.
Oh, God. They're so cumbersome.
Yeah.
They see some birds.
And then they're like, oh, fuck.
And then some dogs run by, and Abraham's like, oh, I sense a, like, disturbance in the force. And then Mitch immediately gets a call from his wife, who's like, we're trapped by birds! Help!
Best scene!
Help! We're trapped by birds. They're hiding under a big toy. Did you know Big Toy's like a regional, like...
Yeah.
What do they call it?
Brand name?
Like a play pit, you know.
Playground,
like...
Playground
big
sets.
Set, yeah, playground set.
Whatever it's called.
And they're watching just like... There's just 8, like... And I mean, clearly these extras have been just told, pretend you're being attacked by birds and really, like, whip around this park. And there's just...
None of them have really gone the extra mile and, like, gotten attacked by birds for real, so they know what it's like.
Well, you know, Alfred Hitchcock during Birds would throw birds at the actors. Yeah, would throw birds at the actresses.
What a genius.
He would, well, yes, also an evil man.
Just
because
a crazy person.
That poor, like, the actress, like, really had a breakdown.
Do you want a good movie or not?
Yeah, exactly.
Is if you're not, like, causing your actresses and actors to be, like, in a paranoid state of, like, terror and fear.
Man, like Kubrick.
But, yeah, so these people are freaking out. This woman with a stroller is, like, fucking trying to go across the yard, and they're both running, like, yelling, like, run, run, to clearly not, like, a safe place for them. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand what, like...
Oh, man.
It's not like they're inside of a diner, which would make sense, because it would be, like, a Kubrick, like...
Yeah.
Or not Kubrick, God, Hitchcock homage. But, like, they're, like, yelling run, and she just starts swinging her arms hard.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a delay between, like, it doesn't seem like she's really hitting the birds ever.
No, she's not.
And
then after, like, an uncomfortably long time, all of a sudden, the birds who are doing the same thing are just killing her.
Yeah,
she's lacerating her.
She's fucked up. Once she hits the ground and there are birds on her, you know.
At that point, it's like, whatever. They should have started with that.
And then
the bird.
It shows because she has a stroller. She was running across the lawn, which, big mistake, lady. It's hard to get a stroller across grass. You should have gone down the path. I know it's a longer way around, but it's just going to be faster. This baby, it shows a shot of this cute little baby, and then, you know, turn shots to a crow with a bloody beak staring down at the baby, and it's like, we're gonna kill a baby this time, we promise. Which
they keep teasing
every time. They're like, look at this kid next to this cat. Like,
next to this killer animal.
Could happen.
Nope.
Look, this kid wants to go meet the tigers. Ooh, that's fun.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Ooh, that was rough.
Where were we? Oh yeah, Blake Rose looking at the baby. We cut back. They're meeting the reporter in a warehouse, which I think, like, sometimes shows just think that warehouses are just public spaces you can go into.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like warehouses are locked. And if they're not, like, if you could just walk in, there'd be people,
Yeah.
like, milling around doing their job in this warehouse. But they're in a warehouse with the reporter. They're explaining the situation. The reporter's like, so the mother cell is like Raiden's secret sauce? And they're like, yes, exactly.
Secret sauce.
Which I think would have been a better name for it.
Yeah.
That should have been the name of the episode.
It should have been the name of the episode, but I also think that it should have been the name of the mother cell. They should have called it the secret sauce from the beginning.
The show in general should have been called Secret Sauce.
Zoo, secret sauce.
Animal mayhem.
Oh yeah, they're talking about the secret sauce, and then suddenly behind them, it's the FBI guy. He trailed the journalist to follow them because he knew that Jamie had called him. And also, the journalist at one point before this also was like, oh, so animals are attacking people. You know, my friend got attacked by birds on the way into the office. Do you think that could be related? And we're like, probably not. I mean, it's probably a coincidence. Anyways, the FBI guy finds them. He's like, Schaefer was like a son to me, that beautiful boy who was... I don't know if you remember, no one like there was never a point where we were like, yeah, Schaefer. Schaefer also said some shit about the French, didn't he?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Oh my god. Family resemblance doesn't fall far from the tree. It's, by the way, this FBI guy, not Schaefer's dad.
Yeah,
but,
just
like,
the guy who like trained him or something.
Says that he's like his son. But like that's the energy he gives off. That was my son, my beautiful boy.
He's just so unhinged, like so ridiculous.
He is super like he's like they're like trying to explain the situation to him, which never is going to work in a TV show.
Yeah. And it's all reasonable things.
Yeah.
It's like Jamie even's like, I'm sorry, like she's visibly upset about having murdered somebody.
I mean, I'm not saying that he should have been like, well, you're free to go then.
Yeah.
But what he chose to do next was not the right. What would be the correct thing is, I will take you in, I will arrest you, and then we will sort out what actually happened.
But instead,
and what we need to do.
He threatened to blow Chloe's head off.
He was like,
when she told him the truth, which was that the dude was working for Raiden Global.
He was like, I've only discharged my gun 3 times in the line of duty in my like however many years. And I was like, that seems like the correct amount to me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Seems like a good amount.
If you discharged your gun like
90.
If it was like it was like 4 times, you know, that's pushing it, buddy. If it was 2, what are you doing? You're not keeping nobody safe.
Come on. You gotta like let loose a little bit, man. But he's like, I've only discharged my gun 3 times, and now I'm gonna fucking execute you. He's like, I'm gonna blow your little head off. Which is not only little head implies that he's like, I don't know. There's some weird like energy to that. Like, it's like got some weird. I think sexist too, but I don't know where that's coming from. But I got like,
it definitely is. It's like talking to a child.
So he's like, he's about to shoot her. Jackson Oz like shoulder blocks him. Or like just like takes him down, which then they run, it's the incorrect. They should have just fought like once you got him on take the gun from him. He's an old man with a gun.
I mean, at least if you get him, like if you beat the stuffing out of him, you can at least like tell him like, hey, here's our evidence. Like have him tied into a chair and like be like, here's our evidence, and he'd be like, I don't believe you. I mean, here's more evidence.
The main thing is that it gave him the chance to discharge his gun 12 more times.
Yes. Which that was a good idea, William, to count the bullets. And he didn't do an unreasonable amount of shots, so at least they considered that. I'm glad at least stuff like that is considered.
Yeah, but like just laying into a metal door is not how you shoot a gun.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But he was angry. He was mad. They killed his beautiful boy.
My beautiful boy.
My beautiful boy. We cut over to Mitch and Abraham, who are like rushing to save his wife and daughter, and they're like trying to talk through, like Abraham's like, maybe we could build like another one of those Sonic things to like drive them off, and Mitch is like, no, wait, I remember something. A few years back, I saw a Dalmatian get hit by a motorcycle. And that is
such a ridiculous.
It is. It is out of nowhere like that. There's no like. There's not a build up, and like I'm sure it was like a thing of like we don't want to explain what his plan is. Like we want it to be like sort of a surprise, but that's not the way you do it. You can't be like. That would be an after the fact thing. You would be like, these firefighters helped us because at once I helped their Dalmatian after he got,
The problem is they also started with the fire alarms.
Yeah.
Sirens, so you knew it would be something like that.
Yeah, we knew what it was. But then it's like, my Dalmatian got hit by a motorcycle.
Dude, and they make like a habit of doing that with Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the formula that they need to do. They just need to have the whole show being Mitch like, yeah, this one time, blah, 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 blah. Just a ridiculous thing. And then explains what he means.
They should have written Mitch as like a stoner, like loose, like kind of cast him totally differently and just had him be like that kind of guy who's like, yeah, in college I knew this chick and she was way into bats, man. Like but anyways.
But he's actually a genius.
Yeah, he has to be like really smart, but like his problem would be that he's not taking it seriously enough. Yeah. It would be fun. It would be so much more fun than Mitch is.
Yeah.
Mitch is such a bummer.
His like big time like divorced dad energy, like nonstop.
Like doesn't even try to not have it either. It's just like.
Yep.
Like even before it was revealed he had a daughter.
We were.
It's just
this
like
guy.
Is this dude like divorced?
I mean,
he's super bitter.
When he said that he was divorced, no one was like, "What, Mitch?" No.
Who would divorce Mitch?
They get to the park. They got the firemen to come help them, and like the daughter ran out into the park from the safety of the play place,
but
to save the baby.
Yeah.
And her mom's like, "No, leave the baby to die."
That's such a weird. Like, what are you gonna do with that baby?
She's gonna take it back to the play place. Yes. Until I guess like the thought process is just like we have to get it away from the birds for now, and then we'll figure out.
Yeah, I guess that's a normal thing.
I don't think her plan was like, this will be my baby.
This will be mine.
I saw your mother die, therefore you are my child now.
It would have been so funny if they would have got to it. Like they didn't do the shot where it showed the baby's face before it showed the bird with the bloody beak, and then like she grabs the baby, and it's another bird.
That's so good.
Or like a baby doll, and the woman running was just a crazy person.
Then we cut back. Everybody's met up again. They're at Mitch's house, possibly the least safe place for them in Boston.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Stupid thing to do.
The most like the only place that they're like connected to consistently, like that Raiden would know that they're at, and they have a in-house meeting. Abraham's like, look at this, and he turns on the TV, I think, or maybe it was on mute the whole time, and he just like unmuted it. But like they're like, a news person is like, oh my god, people are getting murdered by birds out here. It's wild. Shit's getting wild in Boston.
We'll see if they're related. These 3 separate bird attacks. Maybe there's something to it.
These 3 separate mass bird assaults.
Birds are flipping out here in Boston. Anyways.
Yeah, and I mean at this point it seems like they just gotta ride it out.
Yeah, I
mean eventually it's gonna be public.
They keep talking about like we need to get this information out, and like things keep escalating, but like those 2 problems, one of them is gonna cancel the other out.
Yeah.
Like if they solve the problem, then they're still gonna be having issues of like.
But then at the same time, there was that line where he was like, "Whatever we decide to do, if we don't do something, it's too late." So I guess
just like global warming, folks.
Yeah.
That's right. It was 72 degrees yesterday here in January.
I got a good walk though.
Yeah, it was it was a nice day, don't get me wrong.
But also terrifying.
Beautiful day. Very frightened.
Yeah.
So scared.
It's great that even like super old people now are like, something's wrong.
I can feel it in my bones.
It shouldn't be 70 degrees in January. It shouldn't.
Anyways, cut to, there's a SWAT team. They're all headed to the house. They're like, we got to be careful. We're going after these guys. One of them ex-military. One of them's a French intelligence
One of them
agent.
tipped over some boxes.
One-
on an FBI guy.
One of them's a veterinarian.
Like one of them's a vet.
Yeah.
He was in the military? No, he works on animals. I wish they would have done that.
No. And then we cut back to the house. Mitch and his wife are suddenly super duper hot for each other. They like really, he touches her scar. She's like, "Ooh, you're touching my scar."
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You're beautiful as ever.
That's why men who get divorced with always feel like they're the hero of the story.
Yeah. Well, she also, like, the thing is, this scene is like framed so that Mitch is like, she apologizes to him.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah,
sorry I've
yeah.
been so hard on you. It's like,
Yeah.
no, wait a minute, no. He left you with your dying child.
Yeah. And he's been out with bat professors
Yeah.
and just all over the world.
What if she is the Bat Professor?
Oh. There's so many.
But she got old.
Yeah.
I
that's
moved
the
away
problem.
from bats
That's
and
the
moved
problem
into-
for Mitch.
Kittens.
Yeah.
Not so much the bat thing, but the old thing. He's not into that. The guy like Mitch? No.
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 That makes sense. Unfortunately. Ugh.
Have you guys seen my new Ferrari? Anyways.
Let's start class.
Let's start class.
I'm on this new TikTok thing, and Mitch's family is going to Maine, and which I don't know for safety's sake, but like, wasn't Maine where the rat thing was happening, or something?
I don't.
Surely the
no.
safest place would be like,
Yeah, that was off like the
Animal
coast of
free
Maine.
zone.
huh? Like the place with the least animals. I don't think like a big city because there's rats everywhere, but like.
Yeah.
Surely, like, Boston's got to be one of the safer places.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like, somewhere,
Well, there's
anywhere
not
near-
like
Yeah,
big
some-
animals like deer
Yeah,
here.
somewhere
Yeah.
without a zoo.
Yeah. Maine doesn't seem like... What if, like, a
Moose.
moose comes down? Oh, my
Wow.
God.
Lobsters.
No, we have to save these. We have
Oh,
to
you're
save
right.
these for the end.
Okay. That's mine though.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Mitch looks at a stuffed animal on the, like...
oh my god.
on the thing, and
That's
he's
so
like,
dumb.
oh fuck, I've had inspiration, and he runs downstairs and he's talking to Jackson Osmond. He's like, remember your father's weird like eyeless horse island where he had all the wall full of notes? And Jackson's like, of course, yes, the weird eyeless
Yeah.
horse.
You don't forget the island where you first see a horse with no eyes.
Yeah.
And what was it? Oh, he's like, there was a piece of paper on the wall that was listing all the like traits of big cats, and
There was a picture too.
yeah, and he's like, that couldn't have been for nothing. Everyone's like, probably not, huh?
Like,
He's
what
like,
are you getting at,
he's
dude?
like, what if it's leopards that we need to find to get the cure? And then he's like, that's sort of a big jump. And they're like, no, we're going to India.
Well, my thing was that he's like, what if your dad was trying to find the cure? Like, what else would he have possibly been doing?
He was mostly focused on that otter and trying to kill it.
Yeah.
It was I want a spin-off show where it's just his dad on the island and the otter is like sort of a Captain Hook type character, and they're
And then at the end of the show, at like the finale, it like turns out that the entire thing was a story that Mitch was telling about one time he knew a guy.
So anyways, they're like, we gotta go to Zimbabwe.
Zambia.
Zambia. They have to go to Zambia. The SWAT team comes in, but they're already gone. Also, Mitch's wife and daughter have already headed off to Maine, so
Yeah.
there's no catching them. And then Mitch and the whole squad is driving in a car. Jamie opens up her window to listen to the birds, which
Which is
is a
dumb.
mistake, but
Yeah.
didn't lead to anything.
Yeah, the birds are still doing the same exact thing that they were doing.
Yeah, well, we get some more. They're like, all the birds are trying to learn one language, so that the fear is that they're going to be able to communicate, like all the animals will be able to just talk to the birds, and then the birds will transfer information. I think is the idea. God. That it's a big, like, it's the internet, but with birds.
So ridiculous.
Which is weird because they've already established that lions are all psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talk about that, and then we cut back to the Raiden bosses, who have another just super stilted. This is the worst ending maybe to an episode.
Yeah. So far, this is the worst one.
The fact that it's a huge cliffhanger of, like, essentially they're like, we have to send someone out to kill them, like, to kill these people, but it's. No maniacal laughter, nothing fun.
And it's also like, because like they know, both of them acknowledge that they could actually find a cure. Mm-hmm. And so this dude's even like, yeah, I don't care about the cure. Like that's established that he doesn't care about fixing the problem, but it still holds no weight because like it's just like,
yeah, there's just no like, I feel like what they should have done was they should have implied that he's like, oh, we're gonna find a cure, but only after people really need it. Like, that sort of like, suddenly Raiden's even the biggest company on the planet.
That'd be much Raiden better. Has the cure for this giant disease thing.
Yeah, and I think they should have, ended with the SWAT team breaking the glass, so you don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be a much better one. It's like, oh, they pretty much like. It's just a little up the ante. Like, they sent a SWAT team, now they're just going to kill them. It's like, that's not that big of a...
Yeah, they already knew that.
There was no way in my head that the SWAT team was ever going to, like, have in contact with them.
No, but that pissed me off
I like implying it, though.
Yeah, I do like that. But, like, what you said would have worked better. Because, I mean, the last couple scenes, the one in the car and the one in the office...
They were just really they were boring.
They were unnecessary. Yeah, they were unnecessary, kind of boring. It absolutely should have ended after he broke the glass. Then the next episode, it could have been like, oh, look at us.
Yeah.
We got away.
Or then be like, call this guy. Call Boba Fett. And who's Boba Fett? And they can introduce him then.
Tell me more about this Boba Fett and his rocket jetpack.
Yeah.
Wrist-mounted missiles.
I'm really hoping that, like, I really want this, like, I'm hoping for, my big hopes for the assassin is, like, either, like, silent Boba Fett type with a bunch of gear, or just Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be sick.
Ooh, or a mix.
Just...
Boba Dundee.
Boba Dundee.
Like, instead of missiles, it just shoots Bowie knives out of his wrists.
Anyways, end of episode. What do we think about this one? Pretty...
I would give... This is pretty low.
Yeah.
On like...
It feels like a transitional episode for the most part. It feels like they had a lot to, like, get... Like, the last episode was so good because they finished a lot of stuff, sort of, and, like, got a lot of big, like, setup pieces done, and then they were like, okay, now we have to get to the next, like, the start of the next thing.
Yeah, I guess I can give it that.
Yeah, I think the next 4 episodes are probably going to be in the higher. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the next 4 episodes are going to be some real heavy hitters. But, I guess we'll find out. But, I mean, it's not the worst episode we've seen, but it's not great.
Yeah, I guess it is better than, like, the first few episodes.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to remember that.
Although, the first episode was pretty good just because of how bad, the ways it was bad was sort of fun. I think the reason I'm not, like, we're less into this is it wasn't, like, even fun the ways it was bad.
No. And, like, in some of the ways it was bad, it tried to make it fun. When really it just should have been like, oh, just don't be bad. Just don't make a crap show.
What animal are we hoping? I mean, it's probably going to be a leopard next episode, but what animal would we like to see killing ideally Jackson Oz?
Oh man, that'd be great.
Wouldn't it be? Oh, if Jackson Oz were to just die from an animal mid-season.
Oh, dude.
I want, at the beach you see, like, especially like super coastline houses with the huge stilts.
Oh yeah.
I want termites to go in and like just eat the wood out and just one after the other.
Yeah, we still haven't established if bugs can be.
That's the greatest terror I can imagine, though. Yeah. the deepest fear I can imagine is
like,
that
imagine living in one of those places. There are houses like that in Grafton.
Yeah.
Gotta.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, up on the hill.
Ugh.
Gotta some places.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of one. Give me a second.
Mine is still lobsters. Like, give me some of that Maine lobster.
It's sort of like
I love it.
Sort of like the scene from oh god, fuck. What's that movie? Woody Allen movie? What is that?
Oh yeah, Annie Hall.
Sort of like Annie Hall, but like a horror scene.
That'd be awesome.
So what I'm imagining is that the mother's like taking her daughter to a nice seafood restaurant, and as they're driving along, you see kind of the progression, and people like driving the other way and running and stuff, and then you see like just out from the sea just droves of lobsters like walking all over each other, kind of like Gyo by Junji Ito, except just with lobsters. And then some of them have gotten a hold of like forks and knives and stuff from the restaurants on like the boardwalk.
I definitely thought the way that story that you were telling was gonna go was they were gonna get to the seafood restaurant, and there was gonna be one of those tanks where you take the lobster, and it would be
in there.
that there would be a lobster in there, and it would just
so good. Well, my idea was like they'd be driving to the restaurant, and then the tire blows, and they look. I was like, how did this happen? And there's a lobster, and they're like, that's so weird. I guess we hit the claw wrong, and so they start trying to fix it, and then just click, and it gets closer. Like, oh god, we gotta get in the car, and then all the lobster climb on and start like cutting it apart like Jaws of Life, ding, and like they're trapped. They can't do anything.
Another thing I thought was like they go to the restaurant and like no one's there, and they go up to the waiter, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, are tables available? Are you guys open?" And he turns around. And he is a lobster in like a full grown man. He's like a pile of lobsters wearing people clothes. And
gotcha. I think any like time we like talk, we like come back around a lot of the time to an animal dressed up as like several animals because
that's amazing.
Like when we were talking about like good. So in the scene where they go to the dude's house where it's real weird and we're like, is this that dude's house? It just would have been so great. Because one of the things we thought was House Bear.
House Bear is House house.
He just comes out in like a robe, carrying a glass of wine. He's like, "So you need me again, huh?"
Bonjour.
Oh yeah, French House Bear.
What's your animal, Joseph?
Oh God. You know.
I made it hard to follow.
I don't tell you guys. I do like. Whoever has the funniest one, sometimes I just cut after there. Wow. Sometimes if there's a big laugh, I just cut there. And
it's like, I know you guys don't listen to it. I can do whatever I want.
Wow. I'm mad.
Well, the end of the episode is like I cut it on like one of us laughing really hard, and then I go into the music.
Okay. I suppose.
So probably none of this is going to be in it. Unless, like, mine's, like, really hilarious, what I come up with in the next 30 seconds.
Do it.
Which is...
Do it.
A woman is driving her car.
Mm-hmm. What kind of car?
What make and model? Color?
It's a Chevy Cruze Limited.
Okay.
Silver.
Okay.
Pretty standard.
2006?
Is the upholstery stock?
Huh? The upholstery stock. But the upholstery stock, but it's not going to be...
Satellite radio?
She has the option, but she doesn't pay for it.
So what's she listening to then? Does she have good reception?
It's a... she listen to NPR. She likes car talk.
Okay.
Saturday morning then?
Yeah, Saturday morning she's driving to.
What's it like outside? Is it like dewy still?
It's early. She's driving home from her parents. She went up for Christmas. But it's like surprisingly warm because of global warming,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're very political with Zoo.
It's very political. Driving home, sees a turtle in the middle of the road, stops the car.
Ooh, wrong move.
Stops the car to get the turtle out of the road because she loves turtles. She had a pet turtle when she was a kid. Gets out of the car, walks over to the turtle, picks it up. What? It is her pet turtle. But she thought it had died years ago, and it looks at her, and it's like, no, I didn't die. Your parents told me that I died. Because the turtle stank up the house.
Yeah.
It was a smelly turtle.
And then she hears like the engine rev, and she looks up, and there's a bunch more turtles.
There's so many more turtles
in her car.
Speeds up, destroys her, but because the turtle's in the shell.
The turtle's in the shell. You can't kill the turtle. It's in the shell.